What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back in to Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arts. We do have some things to talk about, and the first thing that I want to talk about specifically is who will take the biggest leap this year for Denver. It's something that I've been thinking a lot about because there's going to be less opportunity now for the younger guys like Payne Watson, Jaylen Picket, or actually there might be more opportunity for Jaylen Picket, Julian Strawther, Hunter Tyson. I know that we talked Tyson, and he probably won't get much playing time, but the other guys, Watson, who's somebody who was in the rotation for both coaches, Strawther was in the rotation for Mike Malone and not really for David Adelman. So the person I think who is gonna take the biggest leap is actually Peyton Watson, strictly because he's on a prove it year. That's something I covered a few episodes ago, that he is on a contract year. Christian Watson's on a contract year. Jokic is eligible for another extension, or a bigger extension than he was for this year. So I think it comes down to Peyton Watson wanting to secure a spot in the Nuggets organization next year, or even trying to make more money somewhere else on another team. So I think the biggest leap will be coming from Peyton Watson. One, because he has to beat out Deron Holmes for minutes this year. He has to beat out Tim Hardaway Jr. for minutes this year. He has to beat out Julian Strawther for minutes this year. Val for minutes this year. So, and like I said, David Adelman is going to have his 10-man rotation beginning of the season to see who deserves to be there and who doesn't. And I think that Watson really needs to prove more than anybody how he is, what he can do, and what he can develop into. And that is somebody who could be a 3-and-D wing, but also slash and score, sort of like a Derrick Jones Jr., where he could be a player who gets minutes on a playoff team. And hopefully that is Denver, and Denver does extend him. I hope that Denver doesn't overpay for him, but I do think that if it comes down to the largest leap, that will be Peyton Watson for those specific reasons. Like I said, Christian Braun is expected to get to 25 to 30 million. Realistically, he's a shooting guard who can do just about anything on the floor, super athletic, able to shoot the ball. Watson's a guy who was struggling when it came to finishing at the rim. Shot way better than he has the past season, but they need him to take that leap. He's a very good defender. He can guard realistically 1 through 4, maybe the 5. He's a little bit smaller, so that gets a little tough. But I think that if it comes down to a player that will take the biggest leap, it is going to be Peyton Watson. Now, the next topic I got for you guys is the intensity level. Now, like we covered last episode, Jokic is playing in the Euro ball, or the Euro hoops, and it does make me nervous. But when it came to him playing in the Olympics, he did come out and say that there was a certain level of intensity that it helped him maintain when it came to the NBA the next season. It kept him in shape. And I think that when it comes to this, he will be playing against guys who want contracts in the NBA or want contracts in Europe or, any other league out there, the CBA. And they're going to be playing with a different level of intensity, at least defensively, than guys in the NBA will play. There's not many players in the NBA now that play with a certain type of certain level of intensity at the center position, especially. You have some guys here and there, Steve Adams, but he's just a big body. There's nobody with the level of Marcus Smart intensity on defense that is playing at the center position, realistically. You have Mitchell Robinson, who's a guy who's a lengthy body and hustles Florida, front or back and forth, playing defense and catching lobs. But when it comes to him playing standard defense on Jokic, it's a guy who can't play the best defense because Jokic is a bigger body. So these are going to be guys who are going to be out there busting their behind to go ahead and try to get contracts in the NBA, in the CBA. And like I said, Jokic talked about how the Olympics kept him in shape and were able to help him play the way he played this year, which may have been the best we've ever seen Jokic play, or close to it at least. I also think that it will help him sort of maintain that fire under him, because he was talking, and people say he does that. People go out and talk and say that he doesn't care about the NBA, but the first thing that he said in the presser was the fact that they didn't have the team to win it, and they have to go out and get somebody for the bench for them to be that good of a team. So there's obviously care there. There's care if he's coming out and saying that it helped him stay in shape playing in the Olympics this past year. So I think that this will be a good thing for Jokic, and I think that we'll continue to see the intensity out of him coming into this next year because, one, management did everything they could to keep the roster the best or get the roster the best level they could to help Jokic out, and two, because, like I said, he's going to be playing against players who actually care, not against NBA players who are secure when it comes to contracts, and some of them don't play majority of the season. Look at Joel Embiid. Guy hasn't played in Denver, and I covered this a couple episodes ago too. Guy hasn't played in Denver in about 5 years, so like I said, I think that this will help Jokic keep the intensity rolling into the next season, especially now that Denver are legitimate contenders with a legitimate roster and a legitimate bench. Talking about the legitimate roster, two guys who I think have the aspirations to be all-stars. One guy being Jamal Murray, who I don't know if I ever want to say he got snubbed from an all-star game because his numbers are good. Are they all-star caliber in the Western Conference? That's tough to say. Throughout his career, he's had guys like CP3. He's had guys like Russell Westbrook in his prime. He's had guys like Steph. So that's a little bit tougher. But I do think that this is a year where a lot of guys are going to be sort of taking the pressure off of him because you do have guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Cam Johnson who are people that Denver's never really had the caliber of player around him. I know they have MPJ and Christian Brown and, Aaron Gordon, but there was never that level of bench depth except for the championship team, which I still think lacked the depth that this team has. And the other guy is obviously Cam Johnson. Now, I think that Cam Johnson's overall a better player than MPJ. The management and David Adelman have come out and said that they think that Cam Johnson's a better fit around Jokic than MPJ is. So I think that he can go out and realistically make the push to be an all-star caliber forward in the Western Conference. I know it's a little bit tougher because the West is stacked up, but if he can go out and put up maybe 20 points a game, if he can play great defense and sort of make a name for himself, then we might be able to see him make a push for the all-star game. I think that it would be great if his first time as an all-star was next to Jokic, and I think it would be hysterical if his first time as an all-star was next to Jokic when Michael Porter Jr., who is the same kind of player, couldn't do it his entire career. And that's no hate towards MPJ because I do love MPJ, have his jersey. It actually made me a little sad when he was leaving, but I do think that Cam brings more to the table for Denver than MPJ did, strictly because he's a little more versatile defensively, a little bit more versatile offensively. But again, if he's able to push for the all-star game, I think it would be great. Now, one other player when it comes to the depth is Jaylen Picket, somebody we've talked about. Now, David Adelman and the management did say in pressers that they expect him to make a jump this year at the backup point guard spot. And because of the lack of depth, it seems that Bruce Brown is the backup point guard right now, and that may stay the same. I got the chance to talk to Rachel Strand again, and she gave me her insight on what she thinks they're going to do, and that was potentially seeing Strother at the backup 1 minute. Now, I think it would be interesting to see maybe Bruce Brown and Strother split those backup minutes, and Jaylen Picket getting options here and there. I did say that I would like DeLon Wright for Picket if Pickett's not able to do what people think he's able to do, but maybe that's the reason that Julian Strother is working out in Denver so much this offseason, because they think that he is going to be a good backup one. So we shall see what happens the rest of this offseason, I guess, to see what they do with their last bench spot. Anyway, that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you guys want me to cover anything, let me know down below in the comments, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.